Hi everyone, my name is Nea Annatashya and Nea Annatashya. I'm from Polytechnic Brunei School of Science and Engineering. I'm taking mechanical engineering and I'm on my final year. So the topic that I'm going to present you guys is study of separator vessels and distillation equipment in pure fluid production. So here is the content that I'm going to present, which is introduction, aim and objective, and the methodology. So introduction, so what does it mean by separator vessels and what does it mean by distillation equipment and what does it mean by pure fluid production and what are the relation between separator and distillation. So this is how the separator vessels look like in real life. And here are one of the separator types, which is this is the vertical separator diagram. And below here is one of the distillation process and distillation equipment. So before that, I'm going to explain what are the aims and objective. So at the end of the day, the aim is to study the different types of separators and distillation equipment used in production of pure fluid, which is in this case in oil and gas industry. So the objective is able to collect research data about the separation and distillation process in pure fluid production and then able to recognize the different components inside the separator vessels. And then relate distillation equipment and separator vessels, like what are the relation? So what is separator and what does it mean by separation? So separator vessels. It is defined as a device for separating liquids of different specific gravities such as liquid from solid. And then distillation is one of the important separation process which are commonly used in chemistry and then oil and gas industry and food science. The process of separating components of mixture are usually based on the different boiling points. And then here are the distribution of separator vessels, which is it is divided into two main types, which is two-phase and three-phase. Both two-phase and three-phase can be horizontal or vertical. So what does it mean by two-phase separator and three-phase separator? So two-phase separator commonly used to separate oil and gas or from gas to liquid. And then three-phase separator are commonly used to separate oil, water, and gas. And then just now, like I said, they can be vertical or horizontal. So what are the difference between vertical separator and horizontal separator? Vertical separator changes in liquid level are minimized due to vertical design, and then it does not require a lot of floor space to build, and however, it takes a lot of effort to assemble and it is very expensive due to the complicated design. And then horizontal separator is designed with a large volume of gas. However, a large area is needed to build the separator, but compared to vertical, it is simple to assemble and cost of transporting is cheap. The which mean horizontal separator are much more easily to do servicing compared to vertical. So how does all this separator works? Like, what are the working principle of the separator vessels? For two-phase horizontal, which is it's quite not complicated. Here's how it works. Here, inlet, where this is the liquid enter the separator and hit the inlet diverter plate, which is once it hit the inlet diverter plate, the fluid change in velocity and direction. And then here is where usually the separation process occur. And then next, gravity causes the heavier liquid droplet to fall out of the gas stream to the bottom of the vessel where the liquid is collected. And then here is the liquid collection section, it holds the liquid during the appropriate retention time required to let the dissolved gas evolve out of the oil and rise to the vapor space. This is the vapor space, and this is the gas liquid interface. The separated liquid then leave the vessels, which is through here, through the liquid dump valve, and which is regulated by a level controller, which is the level controller senses the changes in liquid level and control the dump valve accordingly. This is the dump valve. As the gas flow through this section, small drops of liquid which entrain in the gas and not separated by the inlets are separated out by the gravity and fall to the gas liquid interface. And then some of the drops are of such small diameter that they are not easily separated in the gravity settling section. However, before the gas leaves the vessels, it passes through a coalescing section, or also known as mist eliminator, and causing them to fall into the liquid collection section. And then the pressure in the separator is maintained by a pressure controller. The pressure controller senses changes in the pressure in the separator and send a signal to either open or close the pressure controller valve accordingly. By controlling the rate at which gas leave the vapor space or of the vessels, the pressure in the vessels is maintained. I know it sounds complicated, but actually how the fluid flow, here is how the fluid flow. It went to the inlet and then hit the inlet diverter, and then heavier liquid will settle down at the bottom, and then particle like gas will be in the gravity settling section. Here is where usually the gas is out, and then here is liquid outlet. Each of the outlet has a level controller which can control the level of the liquid. And then here is the two-phase vertical separator. The two-phase vertical separator is almost the same like two-phase horizontal separator. Like how does it work? It's like basically the same. It's just that this one is vertical. The working principle is just the same, which is here is where the inlet went in and then hit the inlet diverter. This is where the liquid is out, and then this is the gas where the gas is out. Here is, but in addition, there are pressure control valve and level control valve, which is the pressure are maintained by the pressure control valve, and then the level of the liquid is maintained by the level control valve. However, three-phase is much more complicated than two-phase, because three-phase involve three types of fluid, which is oil, gas, and water. So as you can see here, I'm going to explain. This is going to be long because three-phase separator is quite complicated than two-phase. So just bear with me. Horizontal, how does it work is, as the fluid enter the vessels and hit the inlet diverter, which cause a sudden change in momentum, which provide initial gross separation of liquid and vapor. The liquid collection section of the vessels must provide, which is here, must provide sufficient time for the oil and emulsion to form a layer. This is the layer or pad above the free water. And then this is the weir. The weir maintains the oil level, whereas the interface controller maintains the water level. The oil spill over top of the weir, and then a level controller which operates the oil dump valve control its level. As the interface level controller senses the height of the oil and water interface, this controller signals the water dump valve here, water down valve, to release as much as water from the vessel as it needed to maintain the oil-water interface at a design height. It depends on the design height. The gas flow horizontally and exit through the eliminator or extractor to a pressure control valve which maintain the constant vessel pressure. So that is how it works. So next is the phase vertical separator. Just like I said just now, vertical separator are much more complicated than the horizontal separator. Especially three-phase vertical separator, there's a lot of going on inside this separator. So how does it work? As you can see, it is quite different than the other three types, as there are additional component inside here. But the fluid flow of the separation is almost the same, just a little bit different. So how does it work? The flow enter the vessels through the side in the horizontal separator, just like in the horizontal separator, and then the inlet diverter separates the gas. A downcomer is used to transmit the liquid through the oil-gas interface to keep from disturbing the oil skimming action. Oil skimming action is oil skimmer is a machine that removes floating oil and grease from liquid. And then there's a chimney here. A chimney equalizes gas pressure between the lower section and the gas section. And then the downcomer outlet or the spreader here is located at the oil-water interface. From this point, as the oil rises, any free water separate out from the oil phase. So the water droplet flow countercurrent to the oil. Similarly, the water flow downward and oil droplets trapped in the water phase rise countercurrent to the water flow. So this is how it works. It sounds complicated because three-phase vertical separator is very, very difficult to operate. Hence, that is why in Brunei, separator vessels in Brunei, based on study, horizontal separator is the most economical for a normal oil and water separation, since the overall cost is expensive and it has a high output of oil and gas ratio. Thus, it is commonly used in the oil and gas industry, including Brunei Darussalam. So, in conclusion, separator separate produced well fluid such as oil, water, and sediment. It split then up into individual components. So just to conclude everything, three-phase separator use gravity to separate the produced well fluid. Same goes to two-phase. And then in conclusion, it can be vertical or horizontal. However, the selection of separated type is based primarily on gas handling requirement and space availability. So horizontal separator is normally more efficient at handling large volume of gas because of its large interfacial area, which is it has better phase separation capability. However, it does not handle solid as well as vertical separator, and it requires more space to build. And then vertical separator, on the other hand, has a good solid handling capability, and then it requires far less space to build and has much more better liquid surge capacity. However, it is more difficult to service. So as you can see, there are, however, all of the separator vessels have a similar components such as the inlet diverter, the valve, and then mist extractors, and so on. I think that's all. That's from me today. If there is any question, please ask out. that's all from me today. Thank you for listening and have a nice day, everyone.